Afternoon and good evening, depending on whatever time you're joining us. Karibu sana to K&A Table, where we discuss matters politics, matters governance, as well as the state of the nation. What is happening in our country? What is happening in East Africa, Africa, and the world at large? Who did what, where, when, and why? How also, and how much more or less you are going to incur as a taxpayer, or how much more or less is the government going to spend. I am joined by Emmanuel Bosire, who is our analyst, and we'll be together in this particular session as we discuss the stories that we have prepared for you. Of course, the comment section is very much open. Feel free to give us your opinions as well as your comments in regards to the matters that we are going to be discussing here. And just a brief of what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be moving to Meru County to see what is happening there post Kawira Mwangaza's impeachment, or the failure to impeach Kawira Mwangaza, what is happening in Meru. We are also going to take a look at what is happening in the oil sector, with Baba releasing some different or various information in regards to the oil procurement system in Kenya, as well as we go to Haiti. What is happening there? Who has accepted? Are the police going to Haiti? That is what we are going to discuss here, and what benefits is Kenya going to reap from it. Now, of course, starting us off, we saw the opposition leader, that is Raila Odinga, listing or coming up with various demands in regards to the oil deal between Kenya and Saudi Arabia. Of course, it seems that number one, Kenyans are not pleased with the reduction in fuel price because of the recent or the previous increase, actually. And now we're seeing it reducing by 2 shillings. Now, of course, Raila Odinga has asked the president to actually make the agreement, or to make public the MOU that Kenya signed with Saudi Arabia, and of course the UAE. And there's also plenty of other demands that we have seen there, inclusive of reducing, or his suggestion to reduce the fuel levy, that is from the current 16% to the initial 8%. Now, what do you make out of Raila Odinga's expose that he actually had Kenyans waiting for this long time?
Just like you said, and what he said, Raila Odinga is a very tricky politician.
No.
At times, what he can be, he can speak in parables at times, and at times he can come out clear. But from the reaction, he knows what's happening. And being in opposition, he always gives the ifs that the government has been doing out.
No.
There are many things that he has done in the past that has brought the ease of the government to the public, things that the public were never even to know, things that are done at midnight with his absence, but he still gets to know. Seems to have a good system. But talking about the cost of fuel, and especially the case of Anne, to me it was hinting on something. But what kept me wondering all the time is the dress code. Politics is very tricky. You can even analyze the dress code. Is in countersuits like President Ruto of late?
No.
So by that, you can be speaking of bad of the government, but they are of the same government. And from the hint that Didmas gave us, that Raila is now practicing his table manners by not speaking while eating. Now that he's not speaking much of the government, because he's in the government, he's eating together with the government. So about the fuel, the government planning and what they're doing, those are long hidden things that he knows that there's a system. And in Kenya, we had systems, and they are there. So their system controlling the fuel market. And the president was saying that they have launched a government-to-government business deal with the oil-producing countries, so that they can be producing their fuel to Kenya without middlemen. That's by saying. Now, Raila is asking the president to prove if they really did that. So in other words, he's trying to remind the president, do you remember the system? Do you know the business tycoons who've invested in this business? And for you to have a successful business is you have to go through the system. So another thing he was hinting is that Anne, when you look at her, she cannot be a billionaire. When you look at her in her face and how she expresses herself, in herself, you cannot see a billionaire. So this was giving out a hint that she's being used by other people who are in the same system. So those people in the same system could be, they're either in Kenya Kwanza or in Azimio. Remember, politicians are the same people again who dominate business in our country. So that's one of the things that I can give as a takeaway from Raila Odinga.
And let's just listen to Raila Odinga before we come back and continue with the talks as we look at some of the demands or some of the other demands that the opposition leader has actually given to the president in regards to solving the oil situation as well as the petroleum situation in Kenya.
The deal as a G2G is the first red flag that points to mischief in this deal. We now know that the characterization of this deal as a G2G was meant to shield the three Kenyan companies from paying the 30% corporate tax. I will return to this matter later. 2. The shilling has continued to fall against the dollar. The cost of oil has not come down since the deal was signed. 4. The scarcity of the dollar has continued. 5. The landlocked countries that depend on us for oil are abandoning our pipeline because it has become too expensive. In other words, the deal has not addressed any of the problems Ruto said it would. When Ruto initiated this deal, the US dollar to the Kenya shilling exchange rate was 132. Today, 6 months later, it is Kenya shillings 159 to the dollar. The cost of fuel shot up significantly after the deal. Where have things moved from bad to worse since the deal was signed? Well, the deal was a scam for which we now demand full disclosure and full accountability. It is corrupt and rotten to the core. It is state capture by Mr. Ruto and company and a conspiracy against the country. Ruto's collapsing the country while feeding Kenyans on lullabies. Other than keeping the cost of oil permanently high in Kenya, the deal is costing the country dearly in terms of trade in petroleum with the landlocked neighbors. It is shrouded in deep secrecy. To date, only 2 documents have been made public. That is, the Master Framework Agreement with petroleum trading entities and the Open Tender System Modified Agreement with marketers. The Supplier Purchase Agreement between the Middle East oil firms and the hand-picked distributors in Kenya has never been seen. We challenge Mr. Ruto to publish this document. Nobody knows how Gulf Energy, Galana Oil Kenya Limited, and Oryx Energies Kenya Limited got nominated to handle local logistics. But the hand-picked distributors are selling oil to us at almost twice the price from bulk suppliers. These companies are also manipulating deliveries date ranges so that they can minimize on prices. We know that in August this year, 4 months after the deal, the government allowed Oryx Energies to sell oil at prices that had been inflated by 17%. In the Ruto deal, Oryx is a supplier of diesel to other oil marketing companies in the country. The excuse was to delay in discharging fuel at the jetty. This shady business model is being deployed by all the companies that were retained in the Ruto deal. They buy at low prices, delay discharging, then ask to be allowed to offload at higher prices, and the cost is passed on to the consumers. In the case of Oryx, it had bought the diesel at an average Platts price of $97.88. That is 14,182 shillings per barrel in July, but was allowed to sell the same to oil marketing companies at 114.5 US dollars, that is 16,585 shillings per barrel. Some of the companies charging the higher prices deliver more cargo than they were contracted to deliver, forcing Kenyans to buy more of the oil whose prices are inflated, hence the permanent high prices of petroleum products. The ministry is changing billing month to allow the oil firms quote higher prices. For instance, cargo that was bought in July when the price was low is allowed to quote higher August prices and pass the burden to the consumer. The deal that Ruto hailed as phenomenal has resulted in high landed costs as a result of structuring of the contract. The faults include the double counting of some cost elements and fixed freighted premium, which sometimes are higher by up to $50 per metric ton. The cost is passed on to the consumers. It also lacks flexibility, which further exacerbates the pricing model. Uganda has announced that it will no longer purchase petroleum products from Kenya because middlemen have inflated prices by up to 59%, imposing too high a cost on consumers. The exact same scenario is prevailing here. The middlemen President Museveni is talking about are Kenya government officials. I repeat, the middlemen President Museveni is talking about are Kenya government officials. The deal has interrupted supply. Gulf Energy, which manages up to 50% of government importation, has been experiencing serious challenges securing letters of credit. This is because the single bank that was picked to provide the letter of credit is struggling with big bad loans. Consequently, there is delay for clearance of importers to offload oil. Ships are queuing at sea for up to 18 days, awaiting a confirmation of a letter of credit in order to discharge, while the Kenya Pipeline Company goes without operations for days because there is nothing to process. Then the companies incur demurrage, which is transferred to the consumer. Under the open tender system, that's the old system, demurrage costs are 45,000 US dollars per day for the biggest tanker docking at the port of Mombasa, and $31,000 per day for the second biggest vessel. But under the Ruto deal, demurrage has risen up to $70,000 per day. This cost is passed on to the consumers at the pump. You will have noticed that Tanzania recently reduced the cost of petroleum products from 1st of November, while Kenya's remained the same or just marginally changed. Tanzania said it was reducing prices because of decrease in the world oil prices by an average of 5.68%, while premiums for importation of petroleum products had decreased by an average of 13% for super petrol, also known as premium motor gasoline or premium motor spirit, and 25% for automotive gas oil or diesel. We will not hear that story here because of the corrupt dealings written into the Ruto deal. As ships accumulate extra charges on the high seas, the money sits in an escrow account in a local bank where it earns interest. It remains unclear who the beneficiaries of the accrued interest is. This deal has led to high cost of oil products sourced through the Northern Corridor Transit Route, that's Kenya route. The freight and premium rates for the May 2023 cargoes were higher in the Northern Corridor by 6.
Yeah, so that was Raila Odinga, of course, dwelling into or actually explaining what is currently happening with the oil deal between Kenya and Saudi Arabia, as well as the United Arab Emirates, of course. With him giving the demands that we had discussed earlier on with Emmanuel, of course, one being that the ESC should actually go deeper into the matter and see who is actually benefiting from this deal. Number two, the issue of reducing the fuel levy, that is the tax from 16% to 8%, as well as sacking of the people who actually came up with the Kenya-Saudi Arabia deal, of course. And of course, we know that a lot has been happening, or there are some deals that happen within the government. But now also Raila, that is the opposition leader, has actually requested or told the energy CS, that is David Chirchir, to actually make public the oil deals that were signed, or the oil companies, the deals that were signed with the oil companies in Kenya. So, of course, that and more we are going to be looking into in our discussions, of course, later on in the day, as well as in future discussions, because, of course, we know the fuel price has reduced in Kenya, but not as significant as what Kenyans did expect, compared to what Tanzania actually put out, as Raila has said, as well as to the oil price, or the exportation and importation, of course, of oil in different parts of the world. Now, still on matters politics, on matters governance, on matters state of the nation, let's move to Meru County. Now, Kawira Mwangaza has actually decided to bring, would say, darkness to the Meru MCAs, with her saying that she's actually ready for the dissolution of this particular county. And this is something that we had Ledama actually mention. Now, do you think that she has actually the right grounds to be pushing for the dissolution of Meru County?
Yes, she has, and everybody else can agree with her that that would be a good decision, but lucky enough, she is not the one to make that decision. But what the MCAs have done, they have pushed her, and they pushed the people of Meru to reach into that corner. And believe me, I don't know the exact number of wards that we have in Meru, but a good number of MCAs will not make it back again to be MCAs. If Meru is disbanded and they are going for a re-election after 3 months. One, people from Meru, you saw when she won the case, twice they've come out to express their gratitude. And the ground for Meru at the moment is Kawira Mwangaza's ground. And the more you fight Kawira, the more you make her to be strong. The more people realize her strength.
No.
So, and the more you expose yourself as the one fighting her, so those who are really behind the MCAs, those who are giving them handouts, so that they can do what they are doing. You know, if you take the MCAs and ask them to tell you the truth, they will tell you that we are not the ones doing this. And even if you take the main petitioner, I don't know his name, who took again the petition saying that there's gross violation and bad office use. So if you ask him, what wrong has she done? He will lack evidence, just like they lacked evidence in Senate. So to her, she has the ground, and I don't pray that they go that way, because much of time has been wasted.
No.
She has not been given ample time to deliver on her promises, on her manifesto, on the key development project for the people for Meru. She has been humiliated so that she can be branded that she's an performer. But if now they are moved to that point, and Meru as a county is disbanded, you know, being disbanded means there will be no governor, there will be no senator, there will be no MCS for 3 months. And then a re-election is going to be called upon. Something that will require a lot of money. Politicians will come up with their money. Money that was meant for projects will be stolen. Like money that maybe could have been given out at the moment for other key development projects in Meru could have been stolen for other projects, and it will be stolen so that it can be used in the elections period. So if they decide to go that way, Kawira will not lose as a governor, and if she does, she has tried her best. She has built herself politically. In the coming alignments, she'll be considered, and I think she's still a fighter. She'll fight again if she wins, and then shames the devil. And I think they will also lack something to appreciate about her leadership.
And of course, we know that Kawira said that if the solution is how male residents will actually get help, then she is 100% fully going to support them. And of course, she knows, or she is confident that if people go back to the ballot, she's actually going to be voted in. Just a quote from, according to Article 192 of the Constitution, the president may actually suspend a county government in case of an emergency arising out of internal conflict or war, or in any other exceptional circumstances. So, of course, looking at what is happening in Meru County, we know that we are just coming from an impeachment, let's say, hearing for Kawira Mwangaza, which is the second one for Meru County. And we are seeing there goes another, probably people want to again impeach her, of course, from office. And on the ground, tunaona watu wanasema actually they want Kawira Mwangaza, and we have seen, we even saw with the reception that Kawira was or has been receiving since the Senate decided to save her. Now, as per what is currently happening in Meru County, for example, and I know you've actually touched on it, some of the grounds that they actually want, or some of the grounds that they're stating they want to impeach, they want to dissolve the county for, of course, number one is the residents, that is 22 Meru residents, initiated the impeachment against the county executive committee, the county secretary, as well as the chief of staff in the county. The allegations were interference of the county health facilities and use of derogatory remarks against the deputy governor, that is Mutuma Mevingia. Now, do you think those are actually grounds to, or something that is solid or valid enough to actually request the president or request the right people to dissolve this particular county?
It could not be true now that the first attempt and the second attempt proved not to be true. So were it to be true, then she could have been impeached successfully in the Senate, especially the second sitting. Now that they all did not work, I think they should get a new way to give it room for dissolving Meru County. And one of the key challenges that she's facing is only that she does not have a party. Had she had a political party that elected her into office, then she will be finding it easy and the party members could come out clear and defend herself. But that said and done, if they decide to dissolve, then the government will have nothing to lose, especially the national government. Now, especially the two parties, the Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, will be interested in this politics now that is of the moment. And if Azimio decides maybe to back up Kawira Mwangaza, just I'm giving an example, and then Kenya Kwanza will also be interested in Meru as a region. But from the look, Kawira Mwangaza had already joined Kenya Kwanza and she's working with the government. So what will be done in her favor is that she'll be now given a ticket for UDA. And the president himself and the other key principals of UDA will campaign for her. And she will win actually again if they go by that expectation or by that analysis. But if the opposite also happens, here now it will be tested on the pure integrity of the people of Meru. If the majority really want her to continue being in office. And thank God, modern day elections is quite advanced compared to the previous years. Now, at the moment, Kenyans, somehow, majority of them are able to make decisions without being influenced. A few will be influenced maybe by some little money that will be given, and a few will also be having that petty politics, saying that they are fighting her for nothing, then you can cast the vote. And perhaps she will come again and be the leader. And then if the opposite happens, and then here we're able to see who are the real people fighting Kawira Mwangaza. If many have been saying that the war is between Kawira Mwangaza and Kiraitu Murungi.
No.
Now, it could be, if we go by that side, saying that Kiraitu Murungi is the one who is sponsoring the MCAs and the impeachment process for Kawira Mwangaza, and then he had been a governor, and he did not believe that he was to be defeated by Kawira. Even up to the moment, he does not believe that he lost. Munya was the first governor, still interested. He did not make it, and he wants to do something again, and if possible, try. So these people, they did not deliver. Their time came to an end. They are voted out, and then they are using the back door to fight the rightful voted independent candidate to get out of the office. I think it could be unfair, and the political grounds will not accept for all that they have done. And if they do, their stay in office will not be a peaceful one. Yeah, it will be a very hard one, because she also will do the same. She will also be doing the same at the expense of Ameru region. So I think that's what I can take as a takeaway.
And of course, we're looking more into what is happening in Meru County and how sanity is going to be regained, and whether or not we are going to see the dissolution of Meru County or the dissolving of Meru County, and whether or not we're going to see this will go back to the ballot and who is going to be victorious out of it, or sanity is actually going to be regained in that particular sector. Now, today the National Assembly actually approved the motion to deploy 1,000 Kenya police officers to Haiti. And of course, this is through the sitting that happened today, as I stated earlier on. So let's just listen in before we come and see how Kenya is going to benefit, or how Kenya is going to, how Kenya is going to benefit from sending these 1,000 police officers to Haiti.
Honorable members, thank you. Honorable members, I now put the question that, taking into consideration the recommendation of the Joint Committee of the National Assembly, Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security, and the Senate Standing Committee on the National Security, Defense, and Foreign Relations, in its report on the request regarding the deployment of officers of the National Police Service to the Multinational Security Support Mission to Haiti, laid on the table of this House on Wednesday, 15th November 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 248A, this House approves the deployment of the officers of the National Police Service to the Multinational Security Support Mission to Haiti. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number.
Yes, so that was the National Assembly, or the final verdict by the National Assembly to actually approve the motion to deploy 1,000 Kenyan police officers to Haiti. Now, Emmanuel, there has been a debate about, since the moment this announcement was made that 1,000 police officers are going to be taken to Haiti, and we all know the history of Haiti. We all know what happened there. We all know what they've done to the presidents, sitting presidents. Looking at that, for example, this move by the National Assembly, is it something that we see is going to benefit Kenya? And if so, in what way? Or are we as a country sacrificing these 1,000 police officers because of probably the amount of money that was donated or was given to Kenya to support this particular mission?
We've said this in many times. One of the challenges or one of the mistakes that people do is to elect leaders who will misrepresent them. By this I mean the agreement that was made in Parliament is not what is in the hearts of the MPs. Personally, majority of them don't agree with what the country is doing. They know what risk they are doing. They know what is going to face our police officers. But hiding themselves behind their principal, who has given them orders. Even before this policy was being debated or agreed upon, it was decided before. So it's only a formality that for policemen to be sent, something must be done in the assembly, and then the majority must agree, and then they are deployed, and they give an agreement that they want to be deployed. So the 14 billion was to be given by the United Nations, of course, from United States. Actually, it was to be 15 billion. I don't know why they took 1 billion. And then after they have given it, so in Kenya, where systems work, they have seen how they want to benefit. So those who agreed with it, they have been given reasons to as why they should agree with it, but not according with the real current situation that will make a legislature to agree for police officers to be deployed. The opposition, I know, they have not agreed with the government's take. The clergy, I don't know what's their take. How did they advise the government? The civil servant, I don't want to talk about it. They've been taken by the government long time ago. So for them to be deployed is not something that Kenyans, maybe through public participation. Has public participation been done? In Kenya, public participation is only in the paper. Has groundwork public participation been done? Because these police officers are going to be deployed, in as much they are police officers, first they come from families. They don't come from foreign families. They come from families of Kenyans. Now, of these families, relatives, Kenyans of goodwill, have they given out their public view that as a country at the moment where we are seated at, are we able to send or deploy these 1,000 police officers? Have we looked really the dangers of sending these police officers? Yes, it's good to help. We've helped in Somalia. What was the exit strategy? How many police officers did we deploy in Somalia? How many police officers went there? How many died? How many came back? Which report do we have? What did they do? maybe let's look about the internal conflicts that we have. We have issues at Lamu. We have the bandits doing terrible things inside our country. And then the majority are saying they agree for the 1,000 police officers to be sent. We don't wish them bad luck, but we want to believe that in as much we can say this, they might do something better than even raise our flag high in the international ranking about security and even bringing and restoring peace. So I would give it as that. As a country, we are not at the right track at the moment to deploy our police officers.
And most definitely, this and more discussions we're having right here on the KNA table. And as per what the National Assembly has actually approved this motion, now it's up to the Senate to actually consider the same, that is for approval or rejection. And we're looking forward to that. I don't know, in your opinion, according to the comment section, is the Senate going to pass this, or is the Senate going to reject this particular motion? And Emmanuel, you've touched on a good point, which even as Kenyans, I feel like we should ask ourselves: is this the way, or is this how we want to represent ourselves as Kenyans in international platforms? You know, because if we look at, for example, the Africa hosting the Africa Climate Summit, that was something beautiful. That was something that put Kenya on the map in the world. You know, is doing such a thing as taking these 1,000 police officers to Haiti. You know, you know how Haiti is, the current state of Haiti right now. It's very insecure. You know, and we're looking at a country that has killed its president.
They've assassinated their own.
Yes.
They've killed their own. And they have even further given warnings to Kenya as a country. We've seen them, even those ones in the United States, condemning our president for being a U.S. puppet. And from some angle, I can say that they are true, because we Kenyans, we have this catalyst that's being placed upon us. They use money as a catalyst. And if you do a good research, you find out that the problems that are found in Haiti, the people who brought that problem actually is none other than the United States. They're the ones using, maybe looking for gold. They're the ones, majority of them, drugs are being exported from Haiti. You know, it's in a Caribbean country that connects to the States. So majority of the black assets are done, and then it's only a connector. So being that they're the problems, why don't they solve? It's very impossible. Now it's actually, you know, from another angle, these not Kenyans actually doing all this. This is United States, but behind Kenya. So if things come bad, which country will be blamed? Kenyans will be blamed. And at the expense of people's lives, police officers. Yes, utumishi kwa wote, lakini kwenda pale, mimi kibinafsi naona kwamba ni tatizo kubwa, sababu hata maoni ya watu hayajaweza kusikizwa na idara zima ya ulinzi ya taifa letu la Kenya. Asidhani kwamba imefanywa uamuzi ule wa kipekee wa kuweza kukubaliana na bunge kuweza kutuma askari wetu pale kuleta amani. Na pengine nikimalizia, ujue kwamba kuna vitu ambavyo kuvianza ni rahisi, kuvimaliza huwa ni ngumu sana. What if other countries will come in and start fearing Kenya? And then they'll be targeting Kenya in their intentions. Maybe, okay, something, and they have given threats saying that before you go there, they'll do something in Kenya. And, you know, in as much as Kenya, we seem to be a small superpower in East Africa, just like South Africa is in Africa, and Nigeria in West Africa. We need to do calculated risks. We don't only do risks now that you're being commanded by the United States. They're promising you a lot of money. At times you can stand, you as an individual, as a leader. You've been given this mandate. If you deny, and then Kenyans will be backing up you. But at the moment, majority of Kenyans don't want our police to be deployed.
Deployed now.
And then you've used all means, you deploy them. And by bad luck, something bad happens to them. Will you come and tell this Kenyan story? So this is something that we need to take more time to look at it in depth and to understand it. If possible, we get those people who have got a good understanding about it, and then they can be able to guide us as a country. Yeah.
And most definitely, that is how we're going to end our discussion right here on the Q&A table. We have looked at, of course, matters oil in Kenya with Raila Odinga's expose, as well as his demands to the president. We've also looked at Meru County, what is currently happening there, and if we are seeing or we are looking at dissolution of the county and people going back to the ballot paper, as well as the National Assembly actually approving the motion to deploy 1,000 Kenyan police officers to Haiti. And what benefits has it brought, or is it going to bring to Kenya? What is the compensation method for this particular group of people? And should public participation actually have been part of making this major decision for the country? So again, this and more discussions, you'll find them right here on the Q&A table as well as on Ask Siasa. So be sure to catch us on those two sessions on Kenya News Alerts TV, that is on YouTube, as well as Channel 7 News TV East Africa on Facebook. And also we have other amazing programs like Chill Zone, as well as Mambo na Familia that talks about family, as well as other programs, Chumba Cha Shosh. You'll find them all right here on Kenya News Alerts TV, as well as Channel 7 News TV East Africa on Facebook. And from us to you, we are saying good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on whatever time you're consuming this particular content.